Extra large tomatoes, just $2.49 per pound. Value pack fresh Purdue chicken thighs with drumsticks, only $1.99 per pound. Large inputted white eggs, just $2.50 per dozen. Minute Maid Premium Orange Juice, just $2.99 for select varieties of 59-ounce cartons. Save $1.26 on Lay's potato chips, $2.99 for a 6.5-ounce bag. All stores open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. for your shopping convenience.
You can count on us.
Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
Good evening, everyone. It's Friday, March 2nd. I'm Jasmine Patterson, and thanks for joining us tonight. Former Premier and OBA MP Craig Cannonier tonight offering a scathing critique of government's proposed sugar tax. The public consultation period for the new taxation on sugary goods and sodas ended yesterday. Mr. Cannonier says diabetes and obesity are real concerns. However, taxation of this kind will hurt small businesses.
I think this is ill thought out. One of the most addictive substances probably is sugar. I know that out in my industry, where the position that I'm in with my job, that tobacco has always been increased every year. That's sin tax, but it doesn't stop people from smoking. And I think that it's we're getting into that range where you can't legislate behavior. People need to make good decisions about their health. And so I think a more effective way of approaching it would be to show the issues with sugar and what it does in diabetes and the amputations and these like. People need to see the horrors of it so that it will get their attention to say, hey, hold on a second, what am I doing? Simply increasing the cost of sugar, I believe, is going to be detrimental to the businesses that are out there. Who owns all of the bakeries out there? It's the black man and the Portuguese man. They're the ones who are hiring Bermudians once again, and we're going to put a tax out there, quite frankly, in my opinion, it's going to put them out of business.
There is confusion over exactly how the sugar tax will be implemented, according to Mr. Cannonier.
I'm concerned about the sugar tax and that, we're taxing white sugar, but we're not taxing cocoa, regular chocolate. I just behooves my mind. I'm still not trying to figure this one out. Right now, we're in a position whereby all soda is taxed, whether it has sugar in it or not. We're moving to a situation where now we're just going to tax sugar. So I don't know how this thing is going to pan out. Some of the sodas have aspartame and different things. So they're not going to get this tax. So I'm waiting for the details of this here. But quite frankly, in my estimation, I understand the plight. I understand what they're after, awareness. But I think we can make Bermuda more aware of the challenges with our intake of sugar. The other thing with this also is that we're talking about diabetes, and this is one of the things that is always put out there that is a concern with sugar intake. In my estimation in Bermuda, it's not the sugar intake that we have a major problem with, it's the starch and the alcohol that's causing the problem. And I think we need to be addressing those issues, and we already know just increasing the price of alcohol doesn't change behavior.
The Royal Bermuda Regiment's annual overseas camp has been cancelled this year to allow for the regiment to be reorganized as it moves away from conscription towards a full-time battalion. Making the announcement in the House of Assembly today was Wayne Keynes, the Minister for National Security, who noted soldiers will still undergo training.
For a number of years, we've been traveling abroad as far afield as Jamaica, North Carolina, and Canada. And this was a time where our soldiers honed their skills for internal security and for hurricane relief. This year, we see as the Bermuda Regiment is going in a new direction, this is an excellent time to just stand still for a year, to understand the new plans for the Bermuda Regiment, to look at the trajectory of the Bermuda Regiment, look at the new intake, and what do we want the Bermuda Regiment to be. So the commanding officer, in consultation and with the approval of His Excellency the Governor, had deemed it appropriate to cancel the overseas recruit camp for this year. That doesn't mean that no training will take place. In May of this year, they will do a local exercise and they will focus on honing their hurricane preparedness skills and the disaster relief technology, and their disaster relief capabilities in May of this year. In October of this year, we will do an interagency camp where all of the agencies will get together and they will look at how best they can serve this community.
However, there is no reason to panic, adds the minister, who points out the annual cost of the overseas camp is $450,000, plus another $250,000 to charter the plane.
As you know, we're going to a full-time maritime unit. We have reduced numbers going into recruit camp. So the commanding officer and his team have said, rather than to continue to plow money, let's take our time, let's look at what all of the constituent parts of the Bermuda Regiment, and let's come up with the best way to proceed forward. The government supports this direction, and we believe it's the best way to proceed forward.
It sounded like you received some opposition from Mr. Dunkley and Mr. Gibbons on the floor in there.
I actually don't believe it was opposition on the floor. I think this represents something new for the entire country. Every year we're used to our lads going away to North Carolina, to Canada, or to the United States of America. And people are just, why is this being cancelled? When we shared the whole story centering around realigning the regiment's priorities, going into this new phase and making sure we align what is best for Bermuda.
However, the announcement on the overseas regiment camp piquing the interest of Michael Dunkley, the Shadow Minister for National Security. Here's what he told Mike Sharp.
Well, there were a number of things that, when the minister made the statement in the House, that crossed my mind. And I know that next week there will be the budget debate on the Ministry of National Security, and obviously defense and the regiment will come up. So I thought it was curious that the statement was made today ahead of the budget statement. In addition, it appears that in midstream, with the budget being tabled just a couple of weeks ago, the government is already making a change in reviewing the use of an overseas camp. Now, let me say, Mike, to the people of Bermuda, that last year there was no overseas camp. So we set the precedent because we believe that the camp and all the training requirements could be accomplished by supporting the America's Cup. And as we know, it was widely successful, with all of the security services working very close together to make it successful and go off without an incident. So the precedent has already been set to do it, but it seems strange that a government would table a budget and then, before the budget is even debated and passed in the House, decide not to have a camp and use some of the money that was being put towards the overseas camp to the Coast Guard.
Well, today's strong winds aren't going away anytime soon, with the Bermuda Weather Service warning gales are forecast to continue the entire weekend. And it says we haven't seen the worst of them yet, with Saturday likely to see winds strengthening to storm force. Hal Davis reports.
The winds aren't hurricane strength by any means, but still strong enough to cause some disruption. That's according to the team following the climatic conditions closer than anyone else, the Bermuda Weather Service.
People can expect vegetation to be flying around. Hopefully they've secured anything in their gardens, so their personal possessions aren't flying around as well. Definitely exercise caution, especially on bikes. If there's any areas that normally flood, I would suspect that they might be a little bit susceptible depending on where the heaviest rain bands actually come through.
The problem is a slow-moving weather system that will take days to shift. And if today's winds are causing some problems, including the cancellation of some flights from the US, then tomorrow is set to be even worse.
We are possibly going to have to issue a storm warning, which means storm force winds of sustained winds 48 plus knots for Saturday morning. We're still debating that. We haven't decided quite yet, so keep tuned to the forecast for all the latest details. But it is quite severe. The low is very deep. It's very slow moving, so it's going to be persistent.
So some strong winds expected, and they'll last a couple of days as well. But talking to the island's most important utility, Belco, it's clear they see this as a fairly routine winter storm.
The network is designed and capable of withstanding typically up to 50, 60 knots before we start to see any major outages. And we don't expect any major damage. We would expect the typical foliage into the trees and having little area outages, but we don't expect anything major.
Belco will still be doubling the number of teams ready to deal with power outages from 3 to 6. But like most Bermudians, they seem to be taking this weekend's weather in their stride, hoping perhaps it'll all blow over. Howell Davis, Bermuda Broadcasting News.
You can count on us.
Fresh certified Angus boneless beef roast. Bottom round, eye round, or chuck. $6.99 per pound. Extra large sweet cantaloupes. Just $3.99 each. Just $2.79 for select varieties of Ragu pasta sauce. Selected varieties of Arm & Hammer laundry detergent. $8.99 for a 75-ounce bottle. Only $1.29 for a 4-row package of 2-ply bathroom tissue. Visit our website at www.marketplace.bm for more super specials.
You can count on us.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour programme is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits programme. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going because they've realized, oh, I know where my hand is. I can do this without looking at my hand.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
Your home, your life, security. Be fire and burglar free. Right from your phone, monitor, control. Lock safes, doors, gates, business, family safe. You're on the go, and that's okay. BSG with you.
Bermuda Security Group, your security, life safety, and monitoring experts. We're with you every step of the way. Bermuda Security Group, BSG.BM.
Welcome back. Two 17-year-old boys in the UK have been charged with murder in connection with the death of Bermudian teenager Larico Steed. 17-year-old Larico was chased and attacked in Nottingham on February 13th and died 6 days later in hospital of stab wounds. According to the BBC, the two boys were due to appear at Nottingham Magistrates Court today. A 17-year-old girl has also been charged with assisting an offender and is due to appear in court next month. Meanwhile, a 19-year-old man has also been arrested on suspicion of murder in connection with the investigation. And an 18-year-old man previously arrested on suspicion of murder has been released. Police are still appealing for witnesses to the incident to come forward. Cannabidiol-containing products are now available over the counter at most pharmacies. However, commercial importation restrictions remain in place. The Minister of Health, Kim Wilson, gave an update to MPs in the House of Assembly today, outlining the process of importing CBD products to sell at licensed pharmacies. The substance is one of over 100 active properties contained in the cannabis plant, commonly used to treat various health problems.
What we were looking to do today is to provide a little bit more clarity to members of the public with respect to the use of CBD with THC. What we're saying is that, notwithstanding the recent legislative amendments that we made to the Pharmacy and Poisons Act, in particular Schedules 3 and 4 several months ago, is we want to make sure that the public are aware of a couple of things. One is that the CBD oil with less than 1% THC can only be obtained from a pharmacist, notwithstanding that it's behind the counter. The whole objective behind that is basically to provide a safeguard so that the pharmacist can explain to the patient what the medication is and what potential side effects and the like. The other thing that we want to inform the public on is with respect to importation of CBD. You have to recognize that THC still is a controlled substance, and as such, in order to be able to import CBD, you have to have a license and permission from the chief medical officer. And I was explaining what the processes were, and to invite persons that are interested in importing that product to contact the CMO directly so that they know what the requirements are.
Elsewhere, Wayne Keynes, Minister of National Security, revealed today that the Bermuda Police Service will be digitizing some 20,000 paper records so that they can be easily accessed. The minister revealing this would reduce the demand on the current 2 officers who are tasked with managing records for the entire police service and the public.
This is simply taking criminal records that date back to 1930, over 20,000 records, and digitizing them. We are going to partner with the UK Criminal Records Department. They're going to second somebody to Bermuda for 4 months at the cost of $4,000 to the taxpayer, and they're going to help us to digitize our records. Right now, whenever a person goes away or they need a criminal records, they go to the criminal records office, and 2 people are responsible for finding the criminal records. If a police officer wants to get records for a case, these 2 people are beladen with going in manually and going through these records.
Time consuming.
Very time consuming, and we're talking about over 20,000 records. We are now going to digitize this in a two-stage process to ensure that it's done in keeping with international standards. And they're going to come to Bermuda. And first, we're going to look at gang nominals, people that want to travel to the United States, sex offenders, and we're going to prioritize some key people. And then we're going to put those records digitally. And this means that the records could be accessed remotely from the UK, but they also could be shared with court services. The records can be accessed remotely by the DPP, all to be monitored by the Bermuda Police Service, and it can be accessed 24/7, 365. Right now, the criminal records can only be accessed during regular business hours.
Now let's turn our attention to the AccuWeather headquarters for the latest.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you this AccuWeather forecast, and we have a rough setup here, kind of a more serious toned forecast than we typically would bring to you this time of the year, as we do have some nasty weather brewing as the front is moving through the area. The front technically has pushed through. There will be a secondary front that brings some additional showers to the area, but it's going to be a really breezy time. We've seen some impressive wind gusts earlier today, up over 50 knots in some areas, and you can see the smattering of showers that have been windswept rain showers driven through the area by these very strong winds, and boating conditions are going to be downright wretched over the next few days. Really rough conditions here. Take a look at the current conditions. 68 degrees, humidity around 71%, winds from the west-southwest at 28 to 32 knots. Higher gusts, water temps unchanged. On the inside, water's becoming agitated, 3 to 6 feet. On the outside, we have 20 to 30 feet waves. There might as well be a tropical storm brewing, and at times we've seen tropical storm force winds. Gusts will continue to past 50 miles per hour overnight tonight. We have a mostly cloudy setup with some showers in the area, but boating weather is just going to be absolutely terrible all weekend long with massive waves out there. We'll still see winds gust past 50 miles per hour. We may have some spotty power outages. This is nothing that will exceed what we'd see in a direct tropical storm hit. Really, the storm is well to our north, but this is going to be a pretty nasty, long-lasting wind event with periods of rain off and on and just incredibly large waves for the balance of this extended forecast. Even when the weather improves, the waves will remain big into the early part of next week. Low tide recently at 3 p.m., high tide coming up soon at 9 p.m., and then another low tide really early in the morning Saturday, high tide for a Saturday morning crowd, but it's not going to be a good swimming time. Gale warnings will be replaced by storm warnings as the waves will be exceptionally large and that wind remains very active. There's a spectacular nor'easter brewing off the east coast of the U.S. That is the storm impacting us. As we step into the day on Saturday, it still is going to be a breezy time in New York. Boston will be especially windy still, but the weather will improve after some heavy snow in places like Philadelphia, into the state of Delaware in the United States, and some big-time snow. Some parts of upstate New York, by the way, have seen 2 feet of snow. Still cold in London. Elsewhere around the Caribbean, Jamaica's the place to be if you're trying to avoid the showers. That's good news. Barbados and Trinidad, a little bit better chance for rain there. So here we are with Futurecast tonight into tomorrow. This massive storm and a spectacularly monstrous wind field is going to continue to haunt us. Even though the storm stays north, we'll have some off and on showers. That huge wave action will continue to buffet the island with that strong wind continuing as well. So here we go through a wet and windy weekend, Saturday and Sunday, Monday still, Tuesday showers. It's cool out there as well. Then into Wednesday, partly sunny, 69 degrees. Back to you.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
Step into the next generation of sinks, faucets, tubs, and more with the bold look of Kohler. Choose from a range of whole room solutions, or let an individual piece be your guide for a feel-good, look-good quality. Pure inspiration at your fingertips. Kohler's Next Generation Showroom at BAC.
The whole concept came from the collaboration with BF&M and the America's Cup. The Endeavour program is the legacy of the 35th America's Cup that was here in Bermuda in June. And we've continued the charity now operating in Bermuda. And going forward, we thought, what a great opportunity for children on the autism spectrum. And hence we actually developed the No Limits program. They really do benefit from this kind of outdoor experience, this environment. You know, just yesterday going off the east end of Bermuda, I mean, they wouldn't have done that. Not many children in Bermuda have done that. And just them learning to take control of a large bit of transportation that they're doing at that age, and they may never get that opportunity.
That's where you see the biggest progress is. Whether they were looking at their hand steering, you know, now they're looking forwards and actually looking where they're going, because they've realized, oh, I know where my hands is. I can do this without looking at my hands.
We are so grateful for the Endeavour program and what it has done for the students on the autism spectrum.
I got these for seasickness last week, and they're terrible.
That's strange.
I know. I put one behind each ear like you're supposed to, and nothing happened.
These are tablets. You're meant to take them with water.
I got this pump for my asthma. Hasn't changed anything.
Show me how you're using it. It's an inhaler. You're meant to breathe it in.
Well, this toothpaste, definitely off.
It's a hemorrhoid cream.
Well, that explains why my gums are shrinking.
Life may be a little easier now for the 25 Bermudians who have new jobs thanks to the guest room attendant program. The government ministers responsible for helping the initiative along gave a few words of wisdom at yesterday's presentation.
Thank you, everyone who's been a part of this initiative. I know I'm excited, as long as my cabinet colleagues were excited to see this program come to fruition. When we were approached and we talked about this a few months ago, I hadn't known that we'd be able to pull something off so quickly. Ultimately, the people that you see standing around us that went through the training program, they are the beneficiaries of this, and we look to see them within the hospitality industry doing what they do and moving up through the ranks of the hospitality industry in the coming years. Guys, I'm just proud of you. From what I saw, the demonstration, absolutely phenomenal.
I would just like to say thank you for taking up this opportunity, but also to view this as more than a job. I think of it as a career in terms of, because like over the past few years, we've had jobs growing in the industry, but they weren't Bermudian jobs. And my hope is to see each of you work and succeed where you are now. And when I come back a year from now, 2 years from now, you've moved up and you're doing something else as well, and you're working towards leadership roles in this organization and throughout our industry.
I know this doesn't guarantee jobs, but I'd like to encourage Savannah and Princess to give our young people a chance, the opportunity to show their worth. Because the more Bermudians that are working, the more that we can see the Bermudian flavor. So again, I want to thank Savannah Princess for giving the opportunity or working in partnership with the Bermuda hospitality industry, and all the best young men and women. Thank you.
World #1 female triathlete Flora Duffy crashes in Abu Dhabi. Bermuda defeat Argentina in cricket to advance, and golf officials are keeping a close eye on the weather that can affect the Grey Goose tournament going on at the Turtle Hill Golf Course. Earl Basin has the details in tonight's sports report.
Flora Duffy this morning crashed out of the World Triathlon Series opener in Abu Dhabi, while Rachel Karmer from the Netherlands started the year off making the history books, becoming the 21st woman to ever win an ITU World Triathlon Series race. It was due to slippery conditions from the rain. Some athletes crashed on their bikes, including Duffy, Katie Zaffres, Joanna Brown, and Jonathan Brownlee on the men's side. Duffy was quoted as saying after it, "I crashed out, but I'm fine. It was a super slick course." She went on to say, "Well, I suppose I had to crash out of a race at some point. Super sad not to finish, especially as I was feeling good. Good news, I'm okay. My bike was a little messed up, hence why I couldn't continue, but I'm thinking of everyone else who went down." Bermuda have won their second ICC America's Regional 2020 tournament match after defeating the host, Argentina, by 70 runs earlier today. Batting first, Bermuda reached 139 for 5 in their allotted 20 overs, with Taryn Frey the top scorer with 40, while Tamiko Wilson added 34 and Dion Stubble scored 31. In reply, Argentina could only manage 69 for 9 in their allotted 20 overs, and with the win, Bermuda advanced to the next America's round, but their match with Cayman Islands tomorrow will decide who will win the group. In high winds at the Turtle Hill Golf Course, the 2018 edition of the Grey Goose Golf Tournament got underway this morning. Organizers are keeping a close eye on the weather, and Paul Adams, the head professional at the Turtle Hill Golf Course, told ZBM Sports, quote, "If the weather delays the start of play on day 2 past noon tomorrow, the second round will be canceled." Adams went on to say, if needed, a playoff will take place to determine the division winners, and then they will hold the $1 million shootout. Gerard Houllier, a former French football manager who has also coached clubs including Paris Saint-Germain, Lens, and Liverpool, is on the island, and he offered his thoughts on the state of coaching and the revolving doors. He says this is
because we're not living in a world, and particularly in an era, where patience is a virtue. In fact, it moves all the time, everywhere, and with the fast movement in communication, when you don't know something, you want to know immediately, so you get, on your phone or maybe on your iPad, and then you get it. So I think now we have to accept the fact that things move. It used to move at walking pace, now it's at running pace, and you've got to catch up with that. And so that means, for instance, for a coach, you need to win in style, but also in a very short period, because you don't have the time.
The semifinals of the Bermuda Open Squash Championships kept a large crowd on their toes last evening with excitement. At the end of the night, on the men's side, the English top seeds are through to the final, while South Africa are assured of a women's title. In the men's semifinal, Angus Gilliam defeated Anthony Graham 3-1. This match was a hard physical battle. Neither player figured each other out movement-wise, resulting in constant clashes and discussions with referee Micah Franklin. In the end, Gilliams won 8-11. 11-7, 11-9, 11-6. In the other match, Adam Morales defeated Kyle Finch 3-1. Morales started well and got the better of some intense rallies, winning the first game 11-9, but Finch would level the match at 1-1 after winning the second game 11-8. However, Morales would seem to find another gear, winning the third and fourth matches 11-3, 11-6. On the women's side, Milne Lau defeated Amelia Soli 3-0. In a topsy-turvy match, Lau would win 12-10, 11-9, 11-9. And in the final match, Alex Fuller defeated Nicole Bonnier 3-0. Fuller got in front early and never let up, winning 11-7, 11-8, 11-6. Earlier this week, ZBM Sports reported that Willie Clemens was on trials with Bowden's BK. Yesterday, the footballer confirmed via social media that he had signed a 2-year contract with the team. Bowden's BK is a Swedish football club that play in the first division. Madeline Moore began competing in the Edinburgh International Swimming Championships at the Royal Commonwealth Pool. Moore took to the pool to compete in the women's 50-meter backstroke, finishing 44th, touching the wall in a time of 30:69. Moore's time sees her break the Bermuda record of 30:70 she set back on August 26, 2017 during the 6th FINA World Junior Championships. Kirsten Soltis and her Catawba women's tennis teammates defeated Mount Olive at the Walker Tennis Center. Catawba's women claimed a 6-3 win to level its record at 3-3 overall. Soltis, playing in the number 6 singles spot, defeated Emma Burrows in straight sets 6-4, 6-3.
Check out the great products at our $4 Depot stores. Party bags, candles, soaps, and a variety of health and beauty items, even candy. A number of kitchen items, aluminum baking pans, an assortment of socks in various sizes, even baby products. Your choice of items for only $2.50 each. Stop by any of our 4 stores today. The Dollar Depot, stretching your dollars further.
Are you required to take one or more medications daily but have a hard time remembering when to take them? Does your family fear you may end up in the hospital because you often forget to take your meds? Or are you a caregiver looking for a time management tool designed to make your medication routine effortless? The Phoenix stores can help. With an MDS blister pack, a multi-dose packaging system that makes it easier to manage and take your medication. Each MDS blister pack contains medications for the week and is pre-packed, sealed, and labeled by a pharmacist. Prescriptions grouped by the day and the time of day you should take them, whether at breakfast, lunch, dinner, or bedtime. Plus, to ensure you're covered, each pack includes detailed, personalized instruction. Take confidence in knowing you're using your medications as the doctor planned. Visit the Phoenix stores to chat with the pharmacist and get your MDS blister pack today. The Phoenix stores, for a better life.
Philadelphia International Medicine provides international patients with access to a unique network of world-renowned doctors and surgeons that provide personalized medical and surgical care, connecting you to the U.S.'s leading healthcare specialists who are ranked among the best in the world. Healing is possible when you're confident in your healthcare team. To find out more, contact us at physicians@philadelphiamedicine.com or call 1-215-563-4733.
And that's all we have for you tonight. I'm Jasmine Patterson. Do take care over the weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Good night.
Jasmine Patterson's wardrobe and makeup is provided by Gibbons Company.